Alright, you saucy fuckers, welcome back to Sikistan. It's just me today. Fitz is out of the office, so I wanted to take down a trip down memory lane again because I wanted to do this little series. If people liked it, and it is kind of a lifter of the week, or lifters that I've just been creeping on Instagram or on YouTube, or lifters, just a lot of their lifts that I've been looking at. So I'm a huge weightlifting fan, I'm a weightlifting nerd. I'm always thinking about lifting, I always want to watch new lifting. And I feel like recently we've had a bit of a drought with kind of like new weightlifting clips or exciting weightlifting stuff. I know we just had the Olympics, but there's a difference between competition weightlifting and just loads of good training hall footage. And training hall footage and training lifts is something, a special place in my heart. So I wanted to do a lifter today for this week's one. Is a guy a lot of people probably don't remember. You'd want to be a pretty serious or OG fan of weightlifting or someone pretty in depth to remember who this is, because he was not a hugely prolific lifter even in the Russian system, but he did feature at a few Europeans internationally and some President's Cups. And his name is Gennady Muratov. He is a 105 kilo Russian, just a good old fashioned Russian bear. He is, it very much looks like he trains overweight, as in like 110 plus kilos, like a big dude. He's a big boy, he's a bear, but he has some great lifts. So unfortunately, before we get going, some of his best lifts have actually been removed from the internet. So there was a 240 kilo clean and jerk, so for obviously 105, that was like over the world record. That was in training, obviously. And then there was a 200 kilo snatch pull plus snatch that we don't have anymore. They were on vk.com and now they're all gone off the internet. We can't find them. So if you go to All Things Gym's page, they're not there anymore. But there's still a lot of good lifts from online. And we're just going to run some of these bigger snatches, clean and jerks, squats and pulls, because he's a very aesthetic lifter but had some big lifts. So from what we know, he had something like, I think his best competition was like 183, maybe 188 and 230 at international competition. So very, very, very good lifts for 105. Snatch is a little bit lower, but that clean and jerk is very, very strong. So we've got some big lifts in here still, even if we don't have his biggest lifts. So we've got a 100 and at least 170 pause, and we mean a legitimate pause snatch. So he's pausing snatch 170 there like nobody's business. Here's a 200 kilo above the knee block snatch. So this would have equaled Andrei Rabnov's world record in the 105 kilo class at the time, and very easy. Kind of a slow turnover in him, but he's a very tall lifter, so you can kind of see that happening. Then we've got this 180 from the floor. So his bottom position is very strong, but he's just not quite built for snatching. He's just a little bit too limmy in the leg proportion. And here's a 188 from international competition. So that was from the Europeans. So he's very strong bottom position. Obviously he's a very strong overhead, like loads of Russian lifters have had in the past and will have in the future. Lots of upper body work, lots of snatch, push, press, lots of pressing. For a very strong position. Technique is a little bit rough would be the wrong word, but it's a little bit unorthodox. It could be sharper. It's very, very powerful technique. It's someone who's very, very strong with big pulls and squats, as you'll see in a minute. But it has some issues with it. So the line of his bar, for example, on this 185 kilo snatch, where he is lining up behind the barbell, his shoulders are very, very far behind the barbell. And I know that's known as the kind of Hungarian start, but usually that's reserved for lifters who have shorter legs and they can kind of get their back over into position sooner. Whereas a longer leg lifter like him at heavier weights, it's hard for that kind of Hungarian start to work very, very well. Now, of course, this works well for him and they're very heavy weights, so it's not always just a case of having perfect technique. But it does bear in mind. Still though, a very, very good lifter. You can see he's slightly off balance in these heavier ones. So there's a 191 kilo snatch here at the President's Cup, the Grand Prix. So a few internationals for Russia, but we didn't see him a whole lot, okay? So 191, obviously a great lifter, snatching 200 plus in training, I'd imagine. We don't know what his best on the floor is. Now if we move on to some of his clean and jerk work, so we're on to a 200 kilo power clean as a standard for any 94 kilo over weightlifter, 94 kilo plus. Just phenomenally powerful. Then we've got a 220 by 2 clean, right? So this is such nice classic Russian technique, no over pulling, quite fast under the barbell, nice positions, nice and smooth tempo. I like a little bit of a faster tempo, a little bit more aggressive, but obviously the Russians are all about timing and nice smooth tempo here, so you know, what can you say about that 220 for a double? It's immaculate. Then randomly enough we have 190 kilo thrusters. So This is incredible. So this is what I'm talking about, with very strong pressing strength. You know, you can't do this without having very strong push press and strict press. You can't just get by in leg strength with a 190 kilo thruster. You need to have strong pressing because it's such a distance to press out. So an obnoxious level of pressing strength from him. So then we've got something like a 200 kilo clean and jerk here. So obviously quite light for him. So I imagine he probably hadn't done more than the 240 kilo clean and jerk. Unfortunately, we don't have that video anymore, which I think is pretty grim. Then we have the 225 kilo clean and jerk for competition. Again, you see that shoulders behind the barbell position. Not amazing. It's not the best thing to be doing. But of course, it works very well for him due to power. Phenomenal split jerk, of course, coming from that big strict press that he has, or I assume he has, or big pushing strength. You know, we always talk about, or people like to always talk about people like Tarokity, who jerked 240 kilos and had only like a 90 kilo strict press, or Liu Xiaojun, who says he jerks, you know, he's only strict press to like 80 or 90 kilos. But having a bigger press will very rarely make your strict jerk worse. In very, very specific circumstances, it might. For the vast majority of amateur lifters who are not a Guala gear, that pressing strength is just going to make your jerk better. Better upper body strength, more stability, a stronger back, stronger core, stronger pressing strength, and I promise you it will improve your jerk no end. You'll be like the Ruskies. So 285, where we got a 230 from the President's Cup as well. I think he makes this quite successfully. Honestly, my favourite part of his lifts are his squats. We'll see them in a second. He's just a unit when he's squatting. So 230, phenomenal split jerk. Great split jerk positions, lovely rack position, lovely dip and drive. Just, I'd love to see what he jerked from rack. So we have 230 from the Israel Nationals in Tel Aviv in 2014, I think this might have been. I actually don't know if he tested positive. I don't know if he got caught in the sweeping reforms. Here's one of my favourite lists actually of him, is a 220 kilo clean, which is great, and a push jerk. Now look at the fucking just absolute dominance of this push jerk here. Like this is basically, this is not even a power jerk. This is all upper drive. Like that is obnoxious. That is genuinely obnoxious. So I'm actually just going to watch that again for a second. Just want to watch that 220 again. So I love multicolored, different colored plates loaded. If any of the podcast listeners know, we were talking about that yesterday. So nice, clean, very smooth, very Russian. And then just an obnoxious explosion, upward drive of push jerk. Barely any dip under. Beautiful lockout. Massive arms. So his squat right is phenomenal. He's 320 kilos for a double here. And he's got that kind of hybrid bar position that we always talk about, and we talk about in our Back Squat University of Sikhistan lectures, which you should definitely check out if you're wondering about back squat. The hybrid lower bar position, it's not a low bar, but it's a better high bar position for the vast majority of people who do high bar squats. So we might actually make a proper video on that if you're wondering about it. But he's got this to a T, immaculate positions, super smooth, gets his back, hips, knees, quads, everything's involved correctly in the lift. Very, very smooth. Could have done another 2 reps there. Then we have an obnoxious, again, obnoxious is the word I like to hear, 270 by 3 front squat. Very, very strong legs, of course, in the back squat. Hugely strong upper body, front rack mobility, and he's tripling 270 like nobody's business. No wonder he is snatching, you know, or clean and jerky and push pressing 200 kilos, 220 kilos like that. Then this is an older video of him. I assume we were probably coming close to the Russian sweeping reforms. There's a 275 squat, kind of, you know, very strong squat, of course, but kind of he's losing his, you know, he's gained a bit of weight. So I don't know why I include this. I probably shouldn't. But it looks grand, of course, but, you know, who knows what happens. Then we've just some random clips of him in a Russian, is it cross lifting, so clock off thing, where he seems to be squatting something like, they're 50 kilo plates. So that's 200 kilos. So 305 kilos probably, maybe 310, depending on what those small blue ones are. So again, still strong. Here's something like a 280 again, I think, or something like that. So I assume he's retired from international competition. But what a lifter. Lifter of the week for me was someone I was just creeping on for a while. Those fronts, those 320 back squat is probably my highlight, or the push jerk at 220. Just let me know if you enjoyed this. And if I find new videos of different lifters you might have heard about, some of them will be lifters you have, you know well. But if you like this kind of thing, we might do a little bit more of this. So let me know if you like it, because I'm happy to do more of this, because I'm always watching lifting. And a lot of you might not know who this guy is. I'd love if we could get some of those old videos back of him, those 240 clean and jerks. I can't remember what that looked like. I can remember the 200 kilo snatch, pull plus snatch, but not that 240 clean and jerk, so I'd love to see that again. But alas, we don't have it, and it may be gone forever. As good as gone forever for us watching. So thanks guys, thanks for watching.